question is about picking out your first deck. And I would love to share what I have, I guess, learned about what's out there and some preferences. So I'm the same as another commenter on this, which was really just look for something that you deeply resonate with, that the art just calls to you. That's going to be a great deck to read with. Just make sure it's a tarot deck. So tarot decks have 78 cards in them, and some might have extra, but you want to make sure it has at least 78. And if it does have extra, you get to decide what to do about that. Either learn those cards because it's special to your deck, or honestly, I take them out. I just want my tarot to be tarot, but it's up to you. Okay, so you found a deck that you love, the art really resonates. I want to bring up a couple other things that may help you decide, because maybe you've got a few decks that you love. One is the cardstock. I have pretty small hands. I've lost a lot of strength in my hands. I'm nearing 50. And because of that, decks that are really thick like this, as compared to a deck with thinner cardstock like this is much harder for me to work with and shuffle and to hold. So I now, with over, I think I've got about 60 decks in my collection, I gravitate towards smaller decks and decks that have bendier cardstock. You can just watch a video on like a review, and they usually discuss the cardstock in there to give you an idea. You can see them in action. Another thing about cardstock with my small hands is the size of the cards. So there's a standard size of tarot cards, and then there are some that are smaller. This is a Fournier deck. Let me show you the brand. Fournier, Fournier. These are smaller sized, and I love them. And the cardstock is really nice, and it's bendy and lasts a really long time. But the smaller size really works well for me. And some decks are larger than standard size. So this is standard size. Look how big that one is. That's a tarot deck. And then there's also, here's another one. It's just a little bit larger. So something to consider if you have small hands or not a lot of mobility in your hands. Getting a standard size deck or a slightly smaller than standard size would probably be really helpful. And then getting bendier cards would also really help. If this is your first deck, I would get one that has a guidebook in it, because then you don't need to get a separate book to tell you about the deck, because the guidebook tells you the meanings, which is really handy. You can also get separate books. This is my favorite book for just general use. It's Finding the Fool by Meg Jones-Wall. And this, I think, is a fantastic book. Great for beginners, but it also is a nice deep dive as well. Okay, and last bit of advice, but this is an important one, is looking at the system that that deck uses. There are three main systems that are used by kind of mass market publishers and even indie decks. One is called Marseille, and this is the oldest version of tarot, the oldest style. And the difference here between the next systems I'm going to talk about is the way the pips are. So you'll see this is the Six of Pentacles. There isn't a scene playing out. There's no people. It's more like playing cards. So the courts and the major arcana are people in a simple scene, but anything that's like pips, like swords, cups, there's another major, that's an ace, right? So you get the information, you get the number, you get the suit, but you don't have a little scene playing out, which is fine. This is, for a long time, this was like the most popular, Marseille was the most popular deck, and it's great. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying that you should know that that's how the pips look, because you could also look at the Rider-Waite-Smith, kind of informally known as the RWS, and this is the Four of Wands, and you can see there's a little scene kind of telling you about the meaning of the card, which can be helpful for beginners. You know, I find I started with the RWS back in the 90s. And so for me, it is easier to kind of imagine the meaning of the card in the RWS versus, straight pips that you'd see in Marseille. But take the cards that you're drawn to. Maybe this older history with the Marseille means more to you than the newer RWS. You know, go for what suits you best. There's another really popular system called the Thoth or Toth or both, I've seen it pronounced a lot of different ways. I don't actually have examples of that one yet. I haven't gotten into it yet, but that's another one to look into. And the reason I bring this up is that when you know your system that you're used to using, that helps you buy another deck. It helps you get other resources. It helps you when you are finding teachers online to know what system you're working with. Then you can seek out resources that match that system. So for example, for me, I mostly have decks that are Rider-Waite-Smith, RWS. And so when I'm reading, books or watching reviews or learning online, I know that I'm either watching something that is based in RWS, or I need to remember that theirs might be a little bit different than mine if they are talking about a different system. A bit of a deep dive, which I didn't necessarily mean to give you, but I hope that helps you find a deck that you will really like working with. Have fun. Tarot's the best.